Oh, yeah. You're like Scuba Steve over here. I have so many photos.
Snorkel Steve?
Snorkel Steve. I have so many photos of Christopher in Thailand because the hotel had a snorkel mask that covers your whole face and has a snorkel thing, and he's constantly wearing it. Like
that was awesome.
Because there was corals right off the shore, and you were constantly underwater the entire time there.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 173. I have a travel joke for you.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
It's kind of a travel joke and it's kind of a geography joke. So I was looking up national parks. Because earlier this week, we were talking about next year, and we were like, oh, man, it would be nice to do, like, another U.S. national park, right? Mm-hmm. So I started looking up national parks, and I stumbled across this joke. So I'll tell you it. Which state is known for small soft drinks?
For small soft drinks?
Small soft drinks.
Oh, gosh. I know Utah is, like, big for, like, sodas. But I know that I'm taking this joke like I'm not doing this right.
Right. Remember, this is a joke, not like...
Fun fact.
Right. This isn't like Jeopardy. It's not 400.
Okay. I got nothing.
Minnesota.
Well, that's adorable.
Isn't that great?
I feel like I should have known that one.
Which state is rounded on the sides but high in the middle?
Utah?
Ohio.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'll save my others for another episode.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have any jokes?
No, unfortunately.
None?
None. Not off the top of my head. I'm really bad at like being like, oh, I've got a joke for you just off the top of my head.
You are seeing your nephews next week.
Not
should
even
be
next
able
week,
to,
in like 2 days.
You should be able to rattle these off.
Yeah. No, I'm going to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
For a week for a family vacation. And it's been years since I've been. We used to go every summer as kids because my mom's from South Carolina. So we'd always go to like Charleston and Isle of Palms and all that stuff.
I have never been to Myrtle Beach.
You've never been to South Carolina?
Or North Carolina. I've never been to the Carolinas.
Oh. Yeah, well, they're beautiful. I think it's cool because Asheville is so different because it's very mountainous. And very like beer oriented. You got the Biltmore. Like it's a cool, quirky city. And it's so different than like the beachy cities. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just think that's very interesting. But yeah, we used to go to South Carolina every year for vacation. And yeah, we're going again. We're renting a big old beach house, hanging out with the family, all the kids. And then shortly after, I'm heading to France, which will be nice.
What a life you live.
Go to Provence.
You have got to like have some jokes in your repertoire though.
I mean, I have one off the top of my head, and you're studying French now, so it'll make sense to you.
Oh no.
Why does the French person only have one egg for breakfast?
I don't know the French word for egg yet.
'Cause one is enough.
Is that the French word for egg?
Is egg, yeah.
I don't know if your nephews are going to understand that.
They're not going to get that one, no.
All right. What about like a nice beach joke?
Christopher, I got nothing. Like I'd have to like look some up, but
that's it?
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm sorry. I don't have like a repertoire of jokes that I just tell people.
Man, well, I mean, I don't either, but wow.
Are you sure? It seems like you have.
Yes. How does the ocean say hello?
It waves.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one.
Okay, I guess I could say that. I'll put that in my back pocket for David, for one of my nephews.
How does a mermaid wash her fins?
I don't know.
With Tide.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got these all day.
Okay. You should jot some down for me before this vacation.
All right.
Anyway, so what have we been up to this week?
You know, not a whole lot. I'll be honest with you, though. This has been like a great week for me.
So the longest day of the year was this week.
And you went to bed at 7:30.
And I fell asleep at 7:30. I don't know what it was. I don't know, because I got up early and did a pretty hard run that morning, but I didn't feel super tired until like after I'd finished work for the day. And then we made dinner and I was like, I'm just exhausted. And I laid down to watch some TV in our room and just completely fell asleep and woke up at like 10:30 at night and was still tired and just slept until 4:30. And then I was like, well, I'm up. I guess I should go for a run.
Yeah.
Like, it was just...
Was that the night that we made gallo pinto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that was
such
it.
a good
maybe
such
that
a good
maybe
meal.
pass out. But yeah, I've also written about, I was working on France Voyager this week, getting her all prepared for my next trip, which I'll be writing lots of great Southern French content, the south of France stuff, when I get back from Provence. But
Can I jump in here?
yeah.
When I'm working from home, I really enjoy your writing days.
Okay.
Or like your publishing days, because you will generally read an article from top to bottom out loud
Yes.
before you publish it.
And I always do that because if I don't have someone to edit my posts for me, it helps to, because there are some things you'll read just, silently, and it'll sound different when you say it out loud. So it almost, sometimes you can tell if it doesn't make sense grammatically or doesn't sound right grammatically, or if you're repeating yourself with too many words in the same paragraph, like too many of the same words describing something. That all seems to make more sense when you read it out loud for me.
Absolutely.
And that was even when I did like Nomadic Matt's Superstar blogging way back in the day. He even recommended that if you don't have someone who can like edit your posts, to read it out loud.
Oh, cool.
So I always read it out loud, which it can be a lot when you have like 4,000 word posts. But yeah, Christopher heard me reading out loud my 27 cheeses to try while you're in France, like best French cheeses.
I was drooling.
I spent all day on Tuesday researching and writing that. And then I had to finish it all day yesterday morning. And then I finally edited it and posted it today. That has been like a 2.5, 3 day endeavor.
That was awesome.
And it has just made me crave a lot of different types of cheeses, and like also make a list of cheeses I want to try, or not try, but like have again when I'm in France, because French cheese and American cheese are going to be very different, because most French cheeses are unpasteurized, and a lot of them are pasteurized in the US, like the Brie, the Camembert, Roquefort, all that stuff that you're going to get here in the US is going to be pasteurized for the most part, versus what you're going to get in France. And it tastes so much better when it's unpasteurized. I know that there's lots of rules and regulations and things, but it's pretty safe to consume in France. And it just tastes better because you're not boiling off all the things, I suppose.
All the flavor.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it. What was your highlight from this week?
Honestly, writing about France is always fun.
Cool.
I always enjoy that. I always can talk a lot about it. So I did that in a 2-day Paris itinerary, because I'm trying to do like a bunch of itineraries for Paris for different days. And then just planning. I did a lot of trip planning for the trip to Provence, and even started booking hotels and planning our trip to the Christmas markets at the end of the year. So yeah, it was all good.
Awesome.
Even wrapping up Africa.
Yeah.
Trip this in about a couple months from now. Yeah.
Nice.
What's your highlight?
Mine is, and you're going to laugh at this. Mine has been following along with Instagram stories.
For Amanda? Yeah.
Yes. A Dangerous Business is the travel blog, and Amanda is the author.
Fellow Clevelander.
Yes.
Shout out to Amanda.
And she has been in the Arctic and has been posting just absolutely incredible content. I think she has like a whole Instagram story about the Arctic trip now. Like what do you call that, where you can just like click it and like view all of it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like,
I know what you're talking about. They're just like the stories.
it's like a permanent story or a highlight, or
a highlight. Yes,
highlight. Okay.
Yeah.
She now has a highlight of the trip, and it's absolutely incredible. I mean, like snorkeling with whales, seeing narwhals, like just awesome stuff.
I'm glad she finally got to do it, because she was supposed to do it in 2020. Obviously, that got postponed. It got postponed again in 2021, and then she finally got to. And I always tell her, like, thank you, because you always like inspire my husband for all these very expensive trips that like we just like that we now have to save for because I was like, my husband is like obsessed and like stalks all of your like Arctic stories.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, but yeah, so that was really fun to follow along. And I have another friend too that she's been in Alaska for a while. And,
cool.
Like, doing a bunch of cool stuff. Valerie Valise, some good stuff there. But
sweet.
Travel, as you guys know, though, it is still crazy. So I'm so nervous. I'm flying on like Saturday night to Myrtle Beach, and I just have like a feeling it's going to get canceled or delayed, or there's going to be because that's just travel this summer, guys. Like, it's insane right now. How, like, did you see the photos of the London airport of all of the luggage?
Yeah.
Now, this is why we travel carry-on only, because woof. But yeah, like that is just like, even going to Italy, our flights got canceled, and it was just like, oh, we'll rebook you for the following day. And those flights got delayed until really late. Luckily, we just were like, whatever, we'll pay for a brand new flight.
Yeah.
Now we're working through travel insurance for that. Also, travel insurance, guys, big thing to get right now for all of these things. Yeah, it's just been nuts.
It is nuts.
It's been nuts.
Yeah. You know what else is nuts? The fact that we are at our last episode in our continent bucket list series.
Yeah, and I'm sad to be done to finish it, but I'm also excited to talk about Italy because we have plenty of content for Italy, perhaps even an Italy versus France episode in the future.
Not a competition, but we will
France
do that.
wins.
Huh. We will do that. But yeah, this is our last in our continent bucket list series. So what we have been doing starting in episode number 168 is we have been going continent by continent around the world and talking about our top 3 experiences that we have had on that continent, not necessarily together, and then our top 3 experiences that we want to have on that continent. If we could only have 3 experiences for the rest of our life on a given continent, what would those experiences be? This episode is going to be a little different because neither of us have been to Oceania.
Yeah. So this is just our bucket list for Oceania that we hope inspires you.
So instead of a 3 and a 3, we are just doing a full 6 each bucket list of we are dropped in Oceania. What are the 6 things that we are going to do?
Yeah. So even on our Ben app, 0%, 0 countries.
Sad.
Sad. Well, hey, we're hoping to change that in the next couple of years.
Yes.
But for now, also shout out to Antarctica because we're not even covering that, but really.
Well, we're talking about Antarctica at the end of this episode.
Oh, at the end? All right.
Because originally we were kicking it around and we were like, should we do Oceania and Antarctica?
Yeah.
Should we just do Antarctica on its own? And we were like, well, maybe not Antarctica on its own, but I mean, the Antarctica Wonderland certainly deserves some conversation. So we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah. So is your list in any particular order?
No.
Okay. Mine either. So do you want me to kick it off?
Sure. Go ahead.
My first one is probably a lot of people's bucket list for Oceania, and that is the Great Barrier Reef.
That is my number 1 as well. So let's chat about it.
Yeah. I have helped plan, I don't know if you guys have listened to the New Zealand, Australia podcast episode we did for Steve and Christine, and I helped plan their honeymoon when I was doing that. And it just seemed incredible. They went to the Great Barrier Reef. They did, it's called an assisted dive or so it's an introductory dive. So if you are not certified to dive, you can't just like go and dive in Australia. Obviously, but they do have what is called an introductory dive, which essentially is you go and you stay with this guide the whole time. And it's an easier dive and you're with a certified expert guide.
So I know that we just snorkeled in Belize. We did not dive. Would this be the place that you're like, okay, I'm going to dive? Or would you still snorkel?
I actually do think I would try the introductory dive because you have the guide with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And you get to see more when you dive.
Sure.
Because we snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef of Belize. It was incredible, but you're going to see more the deeper you go because there's going to be less people there.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be more colorful, more fish, lots more going on. So I actually think that it would be really cool to do an introductory dive. And you have your guide there with you the whole time. So you're not just kind of going in by yourself and figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef system in the entire world, unfortunately, it is dying and disappearing. So it is certainly something you should see sooner rather than later.
Responsibly see.
Responsibly see, reef-safe sunscreen, et cetera, et cetera. But that's definitely something I want to see. It's up there for me.
Absolutely. That was the first thing I wrote down.
Do you have anything else to add, or was that it?
No, I don't think so. It's just, like, even growing up, like, we were not big snorkelers, at least like snorkeling for marine life. And it is something that I've really, really come to enjoy. Like, I love it every time we can go snorkeling. I always have a great time.
Oh, yeah. You're like Scuba Steve over here. I have so many photos.
Snorkel Steve?
Snorkel Steve. I have so many photos of Christopher in Thailand because the hotel had a snorkel mask that covers your whole face and has a snorkel thing, and he's constantly wearing it. Like
that was awesome
because there was corals right off the shore, and you were constantly underwater the entire time there. We were there in Koh Lipe because the reefs were beautiful there, and you were just having a grand old time.
It was awesome. It really was. Very, very cool. What is your second one?
My second one, and it might be on yours too, but a heli hike in New Zealand for Franz Josef Glacier. Is that on your list?
I don't believe so, unless it is located in like one of the broader areas that I wrote down.
Okay. No, this is you get in a helicopter, you land on a glacier, and you get to hike on said glacier.
Okay.
In New Zealand, which is really cool. I mean, there are other places in the world you can do that. I believe also in Alaska, there's the opportunity to do a heli hike. But the opportunity to just literally land on a glacier and hike around it seems really, really incredible and a very unique experience to have. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, New Zealand is known for its hiking, its trekking, its beautiful fjords and, glaciers and like the ocean life and so many beautiful things. So it would be such a bucket list item to do that. And because I really don't want to go bungee jumping, that would be more of my adventure thing.
0% chance on bungee jumping?
I never say never.
Or would it have to be like a strap you in and push you off?
It might be like a give me a few shots, strap me in and push me off.
Oh, gosh.
We'll
Fair
see
enough.
how my anxiety meds do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My second one is Fiordland National Park in New Zealand.
Okay. Yeah, that was up there for me, but I figured you would probably put that on yours.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when something is described as an adventure plus wildlife, you can sign me up, right? Like, known for hiking and kayaking. Also, the Milford Trek is there. They have dolphins, they have seals, they have a ton of different wildlife. And I just think that spending some time both hiking and kayaking in this gorgeous national park would be time well spent. I don't have any New Zealand National Park jokes, but I will come up with them before we go.
All right. My number 3 is to stay at the Manta Ray Island Resort on the island of Nuu'abalavua in Fiji.
Oh, cool.
And the main purpose for this is the chance to snorkel with manta rays.
That would be pretty cool.
There is a channel there that manta rays frequent, and you can go and snorkel with them. And I think that would be such a cool bucket list experience.
Awesome. I love manta rays.
Yeah, they're big.
They are. They are.
They'd be cool to see.
They would be.
They'd be cool to swim with. What is your next one?
My next one is in Australia, and now that I'm looking at my list, all of mine are in either Australia or New Zealand.
Kisses. There's so many experiences in Oceania.
No, I know, but I mean, Australia itself, I feel like...
It is massive. I mean, it's the size of the continental United States.
Right.
So it's a massive country.
It is. And
New Zealand's one of the adventure capitals of the world?
Right.
So I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Kangaroo Island.
Okay.
In Australia. They have the claim, I don't know if it's still true, that there are more kangaroos than cars on the island.
Let's hope so.
But yeah, just an opportunity to view kangaroos, to view wildlife. It's kind of like an adventure during the day, relaxation during the evening. I mean, there's wineries on the island and that sort of thing. So it gives you a nice mix of both.
Is it just a place to watch kangaroos, or what else is there to do? The adventure.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff to do. So There are national parks, there's beaches, there's wildlife sanctuaries. There is sand dune surfing. Have you ever done that?
No.
I haven't either. But yeah, so like the opportunity for a very active day with a rather chill night. So that's the goal. Anywhere you go.
Yeah, and it seems a bit less touristy, a little bit more off the beaten path than the typical Australia itinerary, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah.
Never been, but I mean, yeah, there's a 50% chance that you are right.
Okay.
So that is my number 3 bucket list item for the continent of Oceania. And speaking of bucket lists, has it ever been on your bucket list to start a podcast? Do you have an idea for a great new podcast? You can bring your idea to life and start your podcast today with Libsyn. Our podcast has been on Libsyn for 3 years, and we absolutely love it. Libsyn has everything you need to plan, launch, and grow your own podcast. Libsyn provides some of the best resources created by expert podcasters who will show you everything you need to know, like what equipment you should use, how to record great audio, how to get your show onto Apple Podcasts and other popular platforms, and much more. Plus, as a friend of Worldwide Honeymoon, when you sign up with Libsyn, you get your first month of podcast hosting for free. There has never been a better time than right now for you to start podcasting. Visit Libsyn.com and use code FRIEND. That's LIBSYN.com and use code FRIEND to get started and create your podcast today.
Thank you, Libsyn.
Thank you, Libsyn. So we're halfway through. You have touched on 3 separate countries.
I have.
Are there more to come?
Yes.
Hit it.
Okay, my next one, and this is going to be like my bougie side coming out, I suppose.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
The overwater bungalows.
Overwater bungalow in Bora Bora to
Easy.
stay, which, I mean, isn't French Polynesia, so it's part of France, technically. So it's not, like it's a territory, that sort of thing. So I guess, like, yes, it is a country, a different country than the others, I suppose.
What?
If we're talking technicalities.
This calls into question the integrity of this entire series.
Okay. Anyway, so staying in Bora Bora, I think that would be such a gorgeous place to stay. There's lots of great hiking, there's beautiful mountains, and of course you have the gorgeous lagoons and clear water. And honestly, the chance to stay in an overwater bungalow would just be a bucket list item for me. Especially there are opportunities to potentially travel hack it to stay in these bungalows. Now we would have to have a lot of hotel points for that sort of thing. But it certainly would be a bucket list item for me to stay at maybe the St. Regis, the Intercontinental, or Le Bora Bora hotels. Would be pretty great to stay in an overwater bungalow and just jump or get out of bed and just leap right into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not on my it's not on my top 6. I did think about it, but I figured that you would list it, so just so that we don't cancel something out.
Okay. What's your next one?
My next one, we are still in Australia and visiting the Daintree rainforest.
Yes.
Is this on your list?
No, it's not, but it's that's certainly up there for me of something I want to do.
Why is it up there for you?
Well, when I helped plan, it's not too far from the Great Barrier Reef.
So that was one thing I wrote down. Like, if you're going to do the Great Barrier Reef, you might as well tack on Daintree Rainforest.
Yes, it's one of the, if not the oldest rainforests in the world.
Sweet.
Which is great. Is that what you...
I did not know that.
No, it is.
I just wrote down a bird that I want to see there.
Okay. And then I also, when our friends Steve and Christine went, and it looked really cool. They stayed on a cool, like, fruit farm that I found, and they absolutely loved it. And it just seems like a great place to hike, see wildlife, and just be immersed in nature. We love rainforests.
I was going to say, some of my best memories are jungle rainforest oriented. So you will recall that I loved the curassow bird in...
Yes, the great curassow.
Yes, in Costa Rica. And have you ever heard of the southern cassowary bird?
No.
It is a brightly colored bird. blue, red, shades of like yellow, like very, very vibrant. And it has this, not like a horn, but imagine like like Table Mountain, like it's flat on top.
They have a flat top?
They have like, but it looks like what a rhino's horn or a like a fingernail would be made out of.
What?
Yeah, here, I'm going to quickly show it to you.
No, here. We'll do it later. It's fine. Okay, so it kind of looks like a dinosaur.
It does.
Right? Especially now that they're saying dinosaurs probably had wings and they were probably very closely related to birds.
Why do you have to ruin the Jurassic Park franchise?
It's basically, yeah, I know. It's so funny because my brother's a biology professor and loves like learning about dinosaurs and all that stuff. And he was just like, yeah, like Jurassic. So when Jurassic Park was created in the 80s, they did not know that they potentially had feathers and all this stuff and probably didn't roar. They probably also were very similar to chickens and like that. So they're not as like crazy as we think that they were. But Jurassic World, they do know that. And they're still making them kind of like the 1980 version of what we thought dinosaurs were.
You are the straw of this podcast.
What?
You suck the fun out of everything.
Oh, stop it. But my brother's always like, it's not correct. And I'm like, well, I mean, there also isn't an amusement park themed dinosaur thing in Costa Rica either. So
it also falls under the genre of fiction.
No, I know.
SMH.
Well, it's just like your dad who was in the Navy was like, yeah, Top Gun, that's just not realistic at all. And I'm like, oh, so it's a movie?
Roasted. On Father's Day. Unbelievable
gosh,
for you.
Stop it. Oh, no.
But yeah, Daintree Rainforest, see the dinosaur birds.
Yeah. So my next one is in New Zealand, and that is taking a boat through the Waitomo glowworm caves.
I did not put that one on mine.
Good. I'm glad you didn't.
And I'll be honest with you, I forgot about it.
I had a hard time narrowing down New Zealand because there's a lot. I really want to see New Zealand, almost more than Australia. I do want to see Australia as well. Again, so many places are on my bucket list. But New Zealand just has these really cool, unique pockets. I don't know, it packs a punch for like a smaller country. But yeah, I think boating through the Waitomo glowworm caves and seeing these glowworms would be such a cool experience. I love bioluminescent things. I'm going to Puerto Rico next year for a travel conference, and I'm hoping to see the bioluminescent bay potentially, you know?
That would be awesome. Remember when we tried to do that on Calipe?
Yeah, but they closed the national park after a certain time, so you can't go. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the same in Puerto Rico now. You used to be able to do it. We'll see.
That would be really cool, though. That's a good bucket list item. Man.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
My next one is also in New Zealand, and this is pretty sweet. So I'm not that upset. Rotorua.
That was almost on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thermal hot springs, volcanoes, mud pits, geysers. Whenever I see the word geyser, I always think of geezers.
I do too.
Do you?
Thing? Does everyone else think that too? Because every time I have to like read it again to be like, oh no, it's geyser, not geezer.
And it doesn't help that they're like always described as like, it's been erupting for hundreds of years, so it's a very old geyser. Write about geysers better, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thermal hot springs are what would do it for me. And just like the entire area. I have never bathed in a natural hot spring.
I don't think you can bathe in these, Christopher. I think it's like Yellowstone.
I was kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like, please do not get in these geysers. These geezers.
These geezers? No, I was kidding.
Okay, good. Yeah, just as a disclaimer, guys, do not get in the hot springs.
Yes. But yeah, I think that this is a rather unique area of the world, especially with all like the volcanic surroundings. I think it would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My last one is Australia.
Okay.
In the outback.
Okay.
And Uluru.
I was going to put Uluru on mine, but I did not.
Yes. I mean, I want to go to the outback in general to see the wildlife, I'm sure the stars are incredible out there, but
Marlborough Sound didn't make your list.
It's up there, but it didn't make the list.
Just for Sauvignon Blanc all day?
I know, and I'm a New Zealand Sauvy Bee person too, for sure.
Yeah. Sauvignon Blanc'd out.
Okay. But if I'm going to have a weekday wine, like a light, crisp drink after work, it's going to be a Sauvignon.
Syrah. Oh.
Okay. A New Zealand Sauvignon. Let's be real. It's great. I mean, I love a good Sancerre as well, which is a French Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley. But that's better with food. I feel like a New Zealand Sauvignon is a fun, like, we're having drinks, we're on the roof, a rooftop bar. You know what I mean? It's like different vibes, you know?
From like Marlborough Sound, like, do you like the more herbaceous Sauvignon Blancs or the more like citrusy Sauvignon Blancs?
Yes.
All of the above.
Yeah. But yes, I would like to go to the Outback, particularly see the Uluru. Just, it would be really cool. It looks like it's burning when the sun sets and stuff, and just to experience the Outback. There's a lot of deadly animals in the Outback, so of course I will be terrified 90% of the time.
Sign me up.
But that's just my anxiety, and
I love entering the danger zone.
But I think it would be really fun to experience the Outback, especially you go all the way to Australia. A lot of it is desert.
Yeah.
And that would be cool to see and experience.
I have no idea if this is true.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that only like the top third of Uluru is visible.
Okay, probably.
The rock formation.
Yeah, like an iceberg.
An iceberg I think is like only 10%.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is up to 33% based upon this statistic.
Oh, okay.
No idea if it's true, but that's what I read.
So take that with a grain of salt. What is your last one?
My last one is a wine region in Australia.
Oh, not Marlborough Sound. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking?
You know those two.
I do know it. Is it near Melbourne or Melbourne?
What?
Melbourne.
You know, I cannot remember where it is located. It's in South Australia.
I'm gonna kick myself when you say it.
Barossa Valley.
Yep. That's the one.
A lot of Shiraz, Cab Sav, Grenache. For as much as I love adventure and wildlife and all of that, I am also a sucker.
He's a big wino, just always slinging back glasses of wine.
I am a big sucker for winelands. Mm-hmm. Always have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
South Africa, we went to Stellenbosch and Franschhoek.
France,
California,
Ohio, New York, Italy. Yeah,
Virginia.
I just love it. I mean, I'm gonna have to take my Barolo shirt to Barossa Valley.
Yes, and his Barolo shirt has nothing to do with wine at all. It's a blue shirt with little surfers on it, and he wore it in Barolo and was like, "Yep, this is my Barolo shirt, and I will wear this anytime I wine taste." And I was like, "Okay."
You know, it sets the mood. It brings me back.
It's like dressy, but I'm here to have fun too.
Yes.
It's kind of the equivalent of the tuxedo t-shirt.
What?
But like a 30-year-old version.
I have never been more offended. But yeah, Barossa Valley. I think I included Châteauneuf-du-Pape in my top 3 experiences I want to have in Europe.
Yeah, I get to do that in a month.
Yeah, I know you do. And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, like there's just a ton of great wine regions in Oceania. I do recognize that I severely limited myself to only 2 countries, but
there's a lot to see in those 2 countries.
There is, but there's also a lot to see outside. I mean, it's the same problems that we were running into like throughout the series, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to be able to list every single country.
Yeah. The one continent that we could, though, is Antarctica. What country do you want to see in Antarctica?
Well, technically, so Antarctica is not a country, correct?
What?
Well, it's not it's a continent. It's not a country.
Australia is a continent and a country. Well, it used to be a continent.
Well, actually, I think that might differ between like regions of the world, whether it's considered Oceania or Australia. Like it's a complex thing.
Really? Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I just remember like learning it as Australia was the continent.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what about all of these others?
Yeah, what about all these other places
right.
in Oceania?
And they were like, oh my gosh, we got to change the school maps.
Poor New Zealand. They got cut off so many maps. But like Antarctica isn't owned by anybody.
Right.
Like it's just...
They have a flag.
Yeah, I mean,
so isn't that a country?
I
mean, not that
I don't
that's
think
like
they have
the
a
end-all
government because
be-all.
there's a lot of like stations, like base stations for all these different countries, and they've got like a peace treaty and stuff.
Yeah. There's
but
a
nobody
marathon.
technically owns Antarctica.
There's a marathon on Antarctica.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Okay. But anyway, as far as going to Antarctica, there's really very limited things that you can do as a civilian going to Antarctica and not someone who's there researching.
That's why I would be part of the research team.
Yeah, there's the race. There is like obviously cruising to Antarctica.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And that seems to be the most popular thing, especially you can leave from New Zealand and go to Antarctica that way, but there's also the more popular option is to fly all the way to the very end of Argentina and then catch the boat, and then you can sometimes see some of the islands on the way, and then you go to the Drake Peninsula.
Drake Passage? Through the Drake Passage.
Through the Drake Passage to the Antarctic Peninsula. And that's usually what you see. And there's snorkeling, and you can even do a polar plunge, which would be crazy. Wildlife watching, penguins. Sometimes you can see elephant walrus or an elephant seal.
Elephant seal.
And stuff like that on the way too. So lots of things.
So let's talk about Antarctica a little bit, just because, I mean, it doesn't have its own episode.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of my buddies about like travel and like the list of countries, like if we could pick our top one versus like and go down. How high is Antarctica on your list?
It's up there, but it's just so expensive.
Let's say you would take the cost out of it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I would go. I would definitely do the cruise. If time and money were not a problem, yeah, I would go to Argentina, explore Argentina, like do Buenos Aires.
No, not all of that.
And I would explore Argentina because I'm like, well, I'm already there. And then head to Ushuaia, I think, and then catch the boat and do like the 20-day cruise or whatever that goes to like the South Shetland Islands or whatever it is, the South Georgian Islands or something.
I'm not talking about like making it a whole thing. I am talking about like, would you rather go, like if you had to list countries out, is Antarctica in like your top 20?
Yeah, I would say so.
It would be. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is just a very expensive trip because I think it would be like $15,000 a person to do that.
Yeah.
Like minimum. Because some of these cruises are like 10, 11 grand.
Yeah.
And then you got to get to where the cruise is and get home.
It's wild, but I feel like there's that like experience where you are so remote that it's just like otherworldly.
I gotta say, in 2019/early 2020, I don't know if it was just my algorithm on social media, but so many people were in Antarctica.
I remember that.
And I was like, how are you guys all affording like a $20,000 trip to Antarctica? Like, how is this happening?
Credit cards, baby.
Yeah, you can't travel. You can maybe get your flight down, but like...
Oh, no, I'm talking about charge it. And then you got to pay it back.
Oh, gosh, no.
I would not recommend
Not
that.
with the interest on our travel credit cards.
Yeah, for real.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Antarctica is pretty high on my list. It's just one of those places that like the whole thing kind of calls to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like the remoteness of it, the wildlife aspect. And I'll be honest with you, there's also like the kind of like the explorer aspect of it. I mean, like I obviously know that I would not be like one of like the first people to like step foot on it, right? Like that would just be ridiculous. But
only a limited number of people can be there at
and
a
like
certain time.
Something about that like calls to me. I think it's the same with like my running.
Yeah.
But yeah, Antarctica is pretty high up there for me.
All right. Well, anything else to add about our Oceania? Do you want to recap it real quick?
Sure. So mine were the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, Fiordland National Park in New Zealand, Kangaroo Island in Australia, the Daintree Rainforest in Australia, Rotorua in New Zealand, and the Barossa Valley in Australia.
And mine is the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, the Heli Hike and Franz Josef Glacier in New Zealand, staying at Manta Ray Island Resort, and snorkeling with the manta rays in Niuya Beluva Island in Fiji, overwater bungalow in Bora Bora, boating through the Waitomo glowworm caves in New Zealand, and staying in the outback and seeing Uluru in Australia.
And our answer, yes or no, to Antarctica is
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let us know your Oceania bucket list. Have you guys been there? What are your favorite things to do? You can always let us know. You can reach us on Twitter, WWHoneymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.